explain something to me because you've been the biggest Vanderbilt fan.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't go to Vanderbilt.
No.
I know you've worked that out in your head.
Yeah.
Go. We don't get that in New York, like, because we don't have college sports, right? So we never.
I got on board with Rutgers for a little bit when they did good. I was there.
We did?
Yeah, well, Rutgers was having like a really good year, and then I remember everybody's like, "Oh, everybody's cheering for Rutgers," and you're like, "Y'all just heard about Rutgers."
New Yorkers were caring about a New Jersey.
Rutgers had a great season when I was there, and so it was like kind of like
06,
their games are
07, 08.
Yeah, their games were kind of on TV more. So then everybody's like, "Oh, this is here." Ray Rice, yeah, and then so and so people were kind of excited about that. They don't care, but
none of my boys. Maybe it's different because I grew up in like Manhattan or whatever. But me and we never discussed college sports at all. Yeah. Right? I didn't even know college sports. I knew it was popular because I like heard about March Madness and these things. We didn't watch March Madness.
Yeah,
I know this sounds probably crazy. Never once growing up did me and my boys go, "Yo, we want to watch the games this Saturday with March Madness." Yeah. Didn't watch a single college basketball game until I was in college.
Yeah.
And our school made the tournament the year before. I went to UCSB. And then I saw what the fuck this thing was. So break down the leap between I don't go to the school, but I love the school. I identify with the school. How does that work?
So it's not just the South, but it's like also the Midwest, like Ohio State.
All over the country they do it. It's just, I feel like it's just New York that they don't do it.
It's a lot of us didn't have pro sports. So Nashville didn't have pro teams. We didn't have the Titans. So everybody's like really into college because that's all you can really root for.
Alabama? What pro team is in Alabama?
So it's if there's no pro team, you just love the sport and that's the only opportunity to see it
so
live.
It's like, and it's that town. It's more of about the town and stuff like that. So we didn't have the Titans growing up. So a lot of my friends were University of Tennessee fans. But I was a Vanderbilt fan, which was in Nashville.
Yeah.
And Vanderbilt's was notoriously struggling a lot back then. And so no one was a fan of Vanderbilt then. But I always think it's good to be a fan of like a team that struggles. Like it builds character. Like you have to, like, you don't just get handed. You're not the Yankee. I remember LeBron. Perfect
Yankee
90s,
hate, bro. The Yankee
LeBron was
hate.
LeBron was like a perfect kid, like for his age that he grew up in. He listed his favorite teams, and it was the Cowboys, Yankees, and maybe the Bulls or something. You're oh, was it? Was that hard struggle of just all of those teams won?
Yeah, didn't he have enough struggle in his life?
Yeah.
Maybe he just wanted some wins.
No, that didn't work out for
but
LeBron.
It's like that. But I'm saying like there was a big generation of that where like people were fans of like teams that were like there was they don't even know what it was like to lose. Like that's like if you're a Patriots fan or Red Sox, but before they all started winning, like if you a long time ago you struggled, dude. Like, and then if you're like a kid, you're like, oh, I don't know, we've never not won. That's all we've ever dealt with.
If you're a Boston sports fan that's our age, you don't know not winning.
Oh yeah.
You remember a few years because the Celtics weren't good in the 90s. Patriots were all a joke. And then the Red Sox never were cursed.
Yeah.
I grew up in Dallas, so the first 3 years I started watching football, or 4 years, we won 3 Super Bowls. So I was like, oh, this is what it is. And then now I'm like, man, fuck, I would appreciate that if it happened now. So I do think that's true. Also, one thing about college is culturally, it's a part of the South. It's almost like I remember being like, I guess I got to root for a college team. I just what you do, and then I'll try to go to that college. And then when I didn't go there, I gave up. But it's just like sports is so central to life, football in particular. You gotta find a team.
That's funny. We love
everywhere.
These colleges that would never let us in.
I don't get it.
We just care about the sports, man. Like they,
like you ride your whole life for the school. You buy the merch. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'd like to go and continue my education there. And then they go, you're not good enough. That's insane. And how do you still root?
Well, there's not a college in America that would have let me in. Like, so it's like, I mean, what am I, like I went to a community college and then for a year, no credits, 1 year. And then I did Western Kentucky for a semester. Again, 0 credits, I failed bowling. And I'm actually a pretty good bowler. But like once they made me keep the score on they're like, you got to write the score down. You're like, I don't know how to do that, dude. Like, that's why they all have the screens. They keep it for you. And the guy's like, no, you got to learn how to do it. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, and then that was it. I didn't learn. But that was, so I could never get in these colleges anyway. But you don't have any, you just want to root for something. Like we didn't have baseball teams. The closest was like the Braves. for baseball. So
that's because they were always on TNT, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's only like 2 hours from Nashville.
Or TBS. Yeah, it's real close.
Yeah.
A lot of people be Cubs fans because they were on WGN.
Yeah.
And so what you could see, that's why the Cowboys, they were always on TV, so everybody became a big fan of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. You like these college teams. The older you get, though, the more it changes because it's crazy. Because at first you're like, these kids are all older than you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, become older.
Then you're like, dude, I mean, I could have that kid. And it's weird to be. So like I love them, but you learn to like kind of back off to be like, I can't
you can't admire
mad at an 18-year-old. Like, you know how young 18 is?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm furious at this kid.
Yeah.
You know, I used to follow him on Twitter. If someone was thinking about going to Vanderbilt, I'd follow him on Twitter. And then when they didn't, I would unfollow him.
17.
He's a 17-year-old kid. Like, and you're
follow
like,
was weird enough, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
It's inappropriate a little bit.
It's a little.
So you're recruiting.
I'm trying to recruit them to go. Look, if we had some crazy kid coming to Vanderbilt, I would definitely follow him. I still follow. I know a lot of the golfers now because they're at that thing, and I'll follow them.
Yeah.
But then some of them I know. But it's like some of them times, you follow them and then you're like, yeah, it's an 18-year-old dude. Like, whatever they're posting, you're like, I don't care about any of this stuff.
Yeah.